Hey everyone, Dr. Jason West, and welcome to the live 5 patient success story. And you guys, this is a really, really good one. This is my friend Wes talking about what was wrong with him and how he got better and what he did for it. And then I've got some bonus videos on exactly the kinds of things that we were doing, like the vitamin infusion treatments and the neural therapy, the nerve reset therapy. It's all coming with you right now. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to everyone and welcome you to the West Clinic team. And we are putting together just so many of these wonderful success stories of people that are taking ownership. So in a little while, you're going to meet Wes. And how Wes and I met was, it's coming up on a year and a half ago. And he came to the office, got sick in Florida, did some medical treatments, and then what happened is it just wasn't getting him to where he wanted to be. And so we got it dialed in. And it was so amazing to see the outcome and what happened. So it's Wes and I inside of the studio. And I wanted to show you that. Remember, there's a couple different things that you can do. If you want any resources, you can go to the West Clinic online.com. We have a special way to get information. And my request to you, anybody listening to this, is, hey, reach out, give us a comment, let us know you're there. It really helps to know. Now, we are constantly putting together a library of information and stuff that we are doing every week. And so we'd love for you to, if you have a healthcare question or concern, please put it in the comments below, and then we can know how we can serve you the best. So it's all about getting people back and balanced. And you guys, I want you to introduce you to Wes. And here's his story. Check it out. Let's look.
Like way better.
We're going to start at the beginning. Here we go. Right here we go.
That's how it started.
So okay, sorry you guys. Here it comes right here. Hey everyone, it's Dr. Wes with my friend Wes. I'm excited for you guys to hear a journey through healthcare and an outcome where he's not necessarily perfect, but man, it was way better than when we started. And so Wes, thanks for, I asked him to come tell a story, and I said the reason why is because there's people out there that have a similar journey, a similar story. So Wes, just walk people through, like, how did we connect? How did we wind up working together?
Well, thank you. I appreciate these types of videos. I mean, I did a lot of research before I came to you, and like how we met is I was sick and I was looking for help, and I actually had a family friend that had Lyme disease and came up here, and she came back like way better. So it piqued my interest, and then she actually sent us the video of you featured on Story Track. That's what it's called, right?
Right.
And I thought that was super cool. So we that's how it started.
So going back in time just a little bit, you're living your life, you're doing your thing, and I think, do you get sick in Florida, or were you sick in Arizona?
So I mean, I've always been so to answer your question, yes, I got sick in Florida. Okay. So I spent a little time in Florida, okay. And like it was a service mission that I went on, and about a year into the 2-year mission, like I couldn't function. Mm-hmm. And I'm not used to that. Like growing up, like I was into sports, rode motocross, soccer, a little bit of football. So like I was always on my feet, and progressively on my mission, this time I spent in Florida, like it was hard to get out of bed, and it was hard to ride my bike. It was hard to walk, and like I pushed and pushed and pushed until I actually got shingles on my mission, and
which is usually an old man's disease, old person's disease. It's not young, but you get shingles and you start into the medical system, and what happens? Like, walk people through that, because there's a lot of people out there that are sick and they're going in, they're not getting answers, and I don't think you got answers there either.
I did not get answers. I didn't really think it was a big deal. I mean, I wasn't feeling good, but I was like, okay, I'll push through this. And then about a week after I got that, like I was on the couch, like I could not get up. I was throwing up, And this went on for 2 weeks, like every day throwing up. I'm like, you know what, like I'm not useful. I've got to get home and figure it out. So I went home and like I did a ton of research, went to 4 different, medical facilities looking for answers. And
what were some of those like diagnoses? Did they say it's in your head? Did they tell you you have chronic fatigue? Did they say, it's unknown? Like what were they telling you?
The underlying tone was it was unknown. Like they would look at my blood, they would do a bunch of stuff and be like, okay, we know that they're like these levels aren't right, but we don't know why they're not right. So
And was there any like medical suggestions, recommendations there where they're like, hey, you should try treatment A or you should try treatment B, or was it go see a different specialist?
a little bit of both. So I was really clear I didn't want to go the Western medical route. Like I liked the natural. And at the same time, I think there's a lot of, like voodoo stuff in the industry, or it could be perceived like that. So I was, somewhere in the middle. Like I wanted to find a balance, and, I went to different facilities where it was too heavy on each. And so, yeah, I mean, one of the popular ones I tried when I actually found out the doctor I went to said I had Lyme disease. He put me on the Cowden program with all the little oils, and
Right.
I did that for probably 6 months, and
Did you perceive benefit?
no, not for me. I didn't find any value in that, and the doctor was great, but I was still searching.
All right, so you were told by a family friend, hey, check us out. You did some research, you see Story Trek, and you decide, okay, I've got to go to a little town in Idaho.
Yeah. And at the same time, like I'm not feeling good. I'm not thinking clear. Like I'm spending most of my time in bed, and like my parents, I've been really blessed. Like they are committed to me. Mm-hmm. And so like they were behind me in coming here. And
so you decide to come here, and I think we're 2.5 years, 3 years in.
3 years, yeah.
Okay, we're in 3 years, and you come to the clinic, and this is what I want people to hear, whether it's me or a clinic like me, like I want people to find that. So walk them through like kind of the experience of like you come into the office or you start in that process, and then what happens?
So we decided to spend a month here for the, after you did your thing to find out what was wrong, or not wrong, but what was causing, my challenges. And I would say the first 2 weeks, like I got worse. And then by the 3rd week, I was feeling more normal. And, by the time I left, like I felt normal. And it was a super unique experience for me, because before that, like I did a lot of mind work to just push through everything. And then after that, being on the other side, I realized what normal like could feel like to a person, or what it felt like to me. And it was super cool for me.
And Wes, when I do workups with people, this is what frequently happens. They don't understand how tough they are, just like you. Like you're living on willpower, and you're like, I'm going to give all the appearance of normal. Like I'm going to make myself function. Yeah. You don't really feel like functioning.
Yeah.
And then when we go through that healing crisis, we drop a bunch of stuff in. You're tired. We get through the healing process, and then kind of walk me through what happened after that.
Well, I went home, and I, in a sense, started my life. Like, I'm running a business now, leading it, and I could never do that if I didn't have the experience I had at the West Clinic.
Okay, and so I know you're not perfect, and I don't want to give anybody the misconceptions that like you're perfect from out, but like you're so much better than when I first met you. Yeah. And we're doing kind of a tune-up experience now, where it's like, look, let's just kind of find what we're missing, and like fine tune that. You're running a business. You got married.
Yep. All right. Boy on the way now.
Baby on the way. And so that's super exciting. Congratulations. Your life will always change. It's amazing. And some of the treatments, like if someone's watching this and saying, well, what did we do different from the experiences and before the workup before you came here? So talk to what happens in the treatments.
Like the specific treatments?
Yeah, the specific treatments, and then kind of what you're experiencing, how you feel through that.
It's a lot of IV, high dose.
Yep, vitamin C.
Yep, a lot of vitamin C.
And then there's some other types of
Yeah,
IV
there's some really unique stuff, and it's not voodoo. Like, it actually produces an outcome of health, and you have the neural, which
Right. That's the nerve reset.
which you can experience like that. That really helped my brain fog. I had a lot of it was hard for me to put a sentence together because the words just wouldn't come.
Mm-hmm. And then we did some medical nutritional therapy where we're taking your blood tests, and then we're like trying to give you the best thing we had. And even though you haven't experienced it, I would like to tell people, like, what is it like when we do the custom formulations? Because that's my new thing now. Like, that's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, it's the coolest thing ever. It seems like it should have always been like that.
Right.
And it's unique.
And I wasn't holding out on you. Like, it just wasn't available for me either. But what we're talking about, you guys, is now we have the ability. What we did for Wes is the same thing that I did for my son here, where you can take what they need, and then and Wes and I did this together. We put it up on the screen, and then we started selecting, this is what's for your immune system. Here's your calcium, here's your minerals, here's what we can do for brain function. They call it individual formulation. I believe it's the cutting edge of medicine, and I just have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, and you're looking at my blood results,
Right?
And you're right. You're hand picking, what I need and the dosage I need in one pill, and it's super cool.
So if someone is watching this, whether they're up the street or they're across the country, you've learned a bunch of lessons in health. And if someone's watching this and trying to figure out, what do I do? What is some of the life lessons, or what could you share with them that would help them at their home right now?
Can you ask that a different way?
Well, one of the things I would say is everybody has their own journey. And so some people are they fall into the trap of, why me? Or they start comparing themselves to others, or they recognize that they can't give up and that they have to be their own researcher. And so it's empowering for me to tell people, look, first of all, you're not your diagnosis. And then second of all, if you'll keep working and you'll keep searching, I believe that people can find a way out of their sickness. They can find someone that will help them, or they'll discover it on their own. And I have mad respect for you that you've done that. He eats super clean. He does all the things to decompress. He's in healthy relationships. I mean, there's work over there that they do for that. And it's not by accident that he's having this good outcome. So I would just to the extent that you can, if someone's watching this that's sick, what would you tell them?
I would say, for me, it was hard for me not to go into a dark place because you're not thinking clear. And when you come out on the other side of that, you can just, it's easy to see what's useful and what's not useful for you. Comparing yourself to, what other people are doing at, 24, it's not useful, That's what I'd say. And
then what about inside of the medical treatment options? There's so many times when someone will be chronically sick and they'll say, here, let's give you anti-inflammatories, let's give you antidepressants, let's give you, happy pills, and this is just the way you are. And so looking or encouraging people, hey, look at different things that just because you haven't heard about them doesn't mean that they aren't effective. And so I don't know if there's a question in there or not of being open to off the beaten path treatments. But if someone was looking at this and you said, look, you should totally do neural therapy, and people, many times they'll say, well, if it really worked, everybody would know about it. And I'm just curious of what you would tell people about looking at different, not necessarily voodoo, but different treatments. Would you put any language around that?
Yeah, I would just say, try it on. You've got to, at least this is how it was for me. I had to experience it. I could hear someone else say on a video, yeah, that's great, it worked for me, and you won't know if it works for you until you do it. So that's what I would say. Just move to action around it, and it'll produce something.
So we're getting close to wrapping up here, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but at the same time, it's so helpful for people that are on this journey where they're round pegs that they're trying to put in square holes. Like so many times in medicine, they develop a protocol and they'll say, oh, well, if you have this condition, you get this medicine, which is the same dosage or the same application of everybody else. And this is one of my frustrations of, like, you can't do that. Like, you're not your diagnosis, you're not a disease. There's a person in there. So as we're wrapping up, any final thoughts of telling people that are searching for health, or they're searching for a way to help someone in their inner circle, a loved one, a spouse, a child, a parent, or something? Any last words of wisdom of telling people, man, when you're on your journey, here's some of the nuggets that I have?
Well, I wish that there was a before and after. Like, I wish people could see where I was at before, and I think that would tell a powerful story just by looking at where I am now.
So many times I think I should really videotape how the person is right now. And I don't, because I'm so anxious. Like when you came into the office, it's like, here's the workup. All right, do the treatment, because I know what's going to happen when you do that. And then later on, I'm like, oh, well, people just don't know how bad you were. Like, people watching this video, they don't know how bad you were.
Yeah.
So Dr. Wes and Wes, just giving a patient journey perspective, just like so many other people. We start off as patients. Now he's a really good friend. We don't really have, a godson in our religion, but I'd be like, look, this is I get to look at his life, and I'm so proud of the work that he's done there, running his business, married with a new life on the way. Like, it's just inspiring. And anyway, Wes, thanks so much for coming on our little program. Dr. Wes and Wes on the Wes Clinic program. We'll see you guys on the next video. See you later. Okay, you guys, so that's one of the things that everybody asked me about these stories is, okay, so what did you do? So now I get to share with you some of those breakthroughs. So the first thing is, like, if someone's sick or trying to get over, long haul viral problems, if it's Lyme disease, if it's Epstein-Barr, if it's staph or strep, like, here's the blueprint to getting better. Like, the first thing that I tell everybody is, number one, like, get your emotions together as best you can. And what that means is communicate with yourself, prayer, meditation, talking to yourself. I think journaling is my favorite. Like, those are the things that I tell people, look, this is where you start, right at home, of what you can do to get better. So start off with those. I think there's some really good books that help you do that. Like, one of them is Letting Go by David Hawkins. Another one is The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. If you've been experienced of physical abuse or sexual trauma, I haven't had that experience in my own life, so I don't want to minimize anything that's happened over there by suggesting that the book totally fixes it. But Forgive for Good by Fred Lushkin is such a powerful thing. Doesn't mean that you forget, but it helps you to recognize, like, I need to forgive for myself. You don't necessarily let it go with the person, but you get lined up. Like, those are all important breakthroughs. Then number two, so after we get some emotions and stuff put together, number two, the next thing is eat as healthy and as clean as possible. Healthy and alive foods, get enough water in your system. Try to really get rid of inflammatory foods. So white sugar is my number one culprit. It's too bad that it tastes so good, but once you get off of it for a time period, like, your body can adapt and you can really make some health improvements to do that. So that's a good place to start. I tell people it's really good to get inflammation out of your system, and I say take a break from gluten for 90 days. And when you do that, it really helps your body to get rid of the inflammation. I agree, sometimes it's not going to make a difference, and other times, like, it's going to be life-changing. So emotions lined up, getting more water, healthy and alive food, eliminating sugar and white flour, I think, are great places to start. And then start on a medical nutritional program, getting vitamin C in your system, getting vitamin A, B5, B6, big doses of vitamin D is a really good place to start. And then for you people that haven't heard about neural therapy, let me walk you through that. So I put this segment together and I just wanted to share it with everybody. So it's called Neural Therapy. Let's go through and let's talk about neural therapy. And we never talk. If you've ever wondered what to do about chronic healthcare conditions, chronic nerve pain, or literally how to turn off your system and turn it back on, then this is a video for you. We're going to talk about neural therapy. Hi, this is Dr. Jason West, and I'm so excited to share with you a breakthrough in treatments for chronic disease, chronic pain patterns, chronic nerve problems, hormone imbalances, literally just about everything. And the therapy I wanted you to be aware of is called neural therapy. Now, how I describe neural therapy to patients in the office is it's kind of like a nerve memory or nerve dysfunction reboot system. Your nervous system has an amazing memory, and we never talk about this in the traditional medicine, and in most alternative medicine circles we never talk about nerve memory. Let me give you an example. If you walk into your home and your spouse or your mom or your children are making your favorite thing to eat, and you walk in and you're like, wow, that smells so good, and then about 30-45 seconds later your body doesn't recognize the stimuli anymore, and so what happens is you don't have that same smell, and then you forget about something. You go out, get something in the car, you take your garbage out, you take your dog on a walk, you come back into your home. Wow, that smells so good. What's happening is that stimuli is coming in and your body is saying, hey, this is a new stimuli. Now, another example of how your body can get used to things or how it can categorize things differently is through something called phantom limb syndrome. Now, what is phantom limb syndrome? What happens, I have a lot of ranchers and rodeo guys that come into the office, and one of them will come in and he'll have a rope caught around the finger, and the horse or the cow will take off and he'll pull their finger off, and they'll say, Dr. West, my finger is killing me. Or sometimes it'll happen in diabetics or an industrial accident where they'll have some type of accidental amputation and they'll say, my foot's killing me, even though their foot isn't there, and the nerve is telling the brain that there's still this stimuli or there's still this pain pattern. Now, if your body was a computer and you called tech support and you said, my body isn't working right or my computer isn't working right, tech support would say, well, turn everything off and turn it back on. You can reboot the system. What that does is it helps the operating system to work better, and it gets rid of some lagging programs and some memory problems inside the computer. And I jokingly tease people, look, I can't really kill you and bring you back to life, but there is a way to reboot the nerves that control pain patterns and control organ function, and that's what neural therapy is. Now, neural therapy was pioneered in the 1920s and 1930s by a Dr. Huneke, and it was written about in a German textbook called the Manual of Neural Therapy, and it's this amazing Bible that we follow in the office. Matter of fact, my book is falling apart. I use it so much because I think it's helped me be a lot better doctor. Now, what neural therapy is treatment of the nervous system, and specifically addressing those nerve memory problems associated with chronic disease patterns. So if you've had a rash or you've had a surgery or you've had some type of irritation to the outside armor of your body or the skin, it can set up what's called an interference field. And this is one of the reasons why I think scar therapy is so important. If you have scars anywhere in your body, it's really important for those to get treated. And I have had some amazing patient outcomes just treating scars. Let me give you an example. I had one patient that had come into the office that had 6 lumbar back surgeries for chronic low back pain, and none of them had helped. She had tried physical therapy, she had tried acupuncture, she had tried chiropractic therapy, she had tried being active, and she was just miserable pain. And we had done everything that we could think of in the hospice, and one day out of desperation I said to her, now tell me about when your pain started. And she said, well, it started after I got a lipoma removed. A lipoma is basically a benign fatty accumulation. They did a little surgical incision on 2 spots on her back. And they said, where does it hurt? She pointed to those scars. We treated the scars and all of her pain patterns went away. It was an amazing experience that scars create interference fields and any of those chronic areas where you're having disease, and it can set up a nerve memory, and then your body accepts that for being normal. And if you reset that with neural therapy, you can get some amazing outcomes. Now, here's what you do with a neural therapy. Take a real small syringe, a little tiny dental needle, and you inject either the scar areas or the areas above the organ that's not functioning right. So you can do this for kidney problems, you can do this for heart problems, you can do this for chronic pain problems. It feels like little bee stings. It's an annoying treatment. And the medicine that you use is a glycolized ester of paraaminobenzoic acid, which is a huge mouthful. But really what it is this amazing medicine called Procaine. And what Procaine does in the right application is it makes your nerves that control the organs and the tissues open, which we call hyperpolarization, close, depolarization, and then normalize, what we call repolarization. So you can actually reset the nerves for headaches, for chronic regional pain syndrome, for sciatica, for carpal tunnel, for liver problems, for stomach problems. And we've got hundreds of patient testimonials where we use the application of neural therapy to help resolve chronic problems. Now, when you do that and you change lifestyle, you put good building blocks in the system, you get your body on a schedule, you get oxygen, you get enough water into your system, you can take healthcare conditions that didn't have any medical options, that were out of hope, we're out of time. Basically, the patient's at their wit's end, and you can get those patients to turn around. And those are most of the people that we see in the office. We just don't have any other medical options, or we've exhausted everything, or we're tired of the prescriptions, or we don't want to do surgery. And this is a wonderful therapy if you have any of those conditions. So neural therapy is a way to reset the nervous tissue. It's been doing about 100 years in Germany. It's just starting to come to America. More and more people are doing it. It's one of the neatest treatments that I've seen in my office. Neural therapy is one of my favorite things that help people with chronic healthcare conditions, chronic nerve pain, and hormone imbalance. If you see value in the video. Okay, you guys, so that was one of the videos that I did as orientation for like how to reset nerve therapy. So you can do neural therapy, you can do the nutritional therapy. And again, if you're having a reset or a chronic nerve problems, like we got to free up our emotions. We got to fuel the body right. We got to, you know, so many people are kind of like the Tin Man on the Wizard of Oz, where it's like we have rusty joints, we got rusty GI system, we got a rusty brain. And so much of that is water related. It's so underrated. And we just kind of want to push water. So that's the last night inside of our Thrivers Tribe, where we can just tap over the thymus gland, trying to do some acupressure treatments where it stimulates that gland. And we can tap over our spleen. That's some easy things that you can do at home. And then the advanced treatments are the neural therapy. Now, the other thing that I wanted to share with you, and then we'll be done for tonight, is the vitamin infusion therapy. So many people ask me about it. And so let me show you what it looks like. This is a vitamin infusion therapy. Check it out. Jason West, and I'm excited to share with you a treatment called vitamin infusion therapy. It's a way to really correct chronic health diseases quickly. We started in 1916. I know I look way younger than how old that is, and all joking aside, it was started by my great-grandfather and my grandfather and my dad. And back in 2000, my dad got really ill. His liver enzymes went off the charts, his joints basically wouldn't work, his eyes swelled shut, a lot of bowel problems, and we didn't find out till later that he actually bit down on a nut, and he had a crown on his tooth. He had a mercury filling or a mercury post underneath it. He got some of the mercury into his GI system, and he did not function very well. It was horrible. We were taken around to all of these different specialists, and the specialists work really hard on trying to help us understand, but no one gave us any answers. And I was at a medical conference in Kansas City, Missouri, and a doctor there said, "Hey, Dr. West, your dad has scurvy." And I said, "No, scurvy was solved 100 years ago, hundreds of years ago by Dr. Lind, and it was all about taking limes and lemons and oranges and stuff like that and getting into the diet of sailors so that they didn't have the joint pain and the ligament problems and their teeth falling out and bruising and stuff like that." And sure enough, those were my dad's conditions. We actually got a lot of help from a Dr. Taylor in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he told us how to do these vitamin C infusion treatments, and overnight they took my dad from death's door to really good health. And so we started doing them here, and I have absolutely fallen in love with a way to absolutely turn around fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, Lyme disease, multiple sclerosis, peripheral neuropathy. There's a protocol for macular degeneration. These conditions that usually don't get a lot of medical help. If you skip the stomach and go right into the bloodstream with vitamin C and B5, B6, B12, magnesium, potassium, all natural things, and increase the concentration gradient so you can actually get way higher concentrations of vitamins. You go through the intravenous route than through the oral route, and you can make changes. A lot of times people will say, "Why can't I just take the oral therapy or oral route?" And the answer is, by the time people get to our office, they're out of hope, they're out of options, they've tried a lot of things. This is usually the most reasonable route to make changes. Your lifestyle is absolutely key, your diet is key, but one of the neatest things about these protocols is the vitamin C application. You could probably write a book about what vitamin C doesn't do. It would be easier than to write a book about what vitamin C does, because it does everything. And it's probably my favorite vitamin. Vitamin D3 is right behind it, but vitamin C is so amazing because it's the most powerful electron donor in nature. And what I tell people is vitamin C is kind of like a bank. If you have more electrons or more money going into your bank, you're healthy. If you have more withdrawals, then what happens is you go into debt, and your body will go to different organs and tissues and steal the vitamins and minerals from those tissues to run things. So you rob Peter to pay Paul. And so really, when people have a chronic fatigue issue or a fibromyalgia issue, what is happening is they're out of energy. And vitamin C infusions help to give your energy. It helps to turn on your immune system, so it's really effective for chronic infections. We've saved multiple legs and a hand from amputation. We've turned around conditions that were not responding to IV antibiotics or hyperbaric oxygen chamber therapy because of the vitamin C. So you're donating electrons to the body, you add the mineral component, and you can get some some amazing turnarounds. Another IV application that's really powerful is to do something called dimethyl sulfur oxide therapy, or DMSO therapy, essentially refined tree sap. It's a universal softener. It does make you smell like garlic, but it is so effective for circulatory conditions, especially stroke recovery and cardiovascular conditions. There's also the ability to do some refined hydrogen peroxide therapy, where you take 1 cc of hydrogen peroxide, you add it to 100 cc's of a saline or 5% dextrose solution, and it's like putting Alka-Seltzer in your system. It's not harmful. We've done thousands and thousands of treatments with hydrogen peroxide, but it gets extra oxygen in your system. And then something to get rid of toxins and to flush the lymph nodes is dilute hydrochloric acid therapy, where you take 1 cc of hydrochloric acid and add it to 500 cc's of sterile water. You put it into infusion, and it has amazing ion changes in the lymph node, which is your infectious processing center. So you can do some things with vitamin infusion therapy that are just not possible using the oral therapy route. And when you get people to change their lifestyle, you have self-communication, get some movement into their system, and use the IV vitamin infusion pathways, now we don't hope for miracles, we actually expect. So how we do vitamin infusion therapy is we take some saline or electrolyte solution, or sometimes sterile water. And if you add enough vitamins into the solution of sterile water, you can actually get it to be the milliosmolarity of blood, which means that you can get the blood and the vitamin solutions basically to equal each other out. You put it into a little container, it's gravity fed. You take a little catheter, you stick it into the vein, and what happens is you start infiltrating everywhere where blood goes to with this amazing vitamin solution. You can increase the concentration gradient, which means you can get really high dose vitamins in there, and actually we can push it into the organs, into the tissues. It helps to turn on the immune system. Usually the treatments take about 2 to 3 hours to do. When people are really sick, the initial couple treatments, they'll feel a little bit more fatigued or tired because you're actually flushing all of those toxins. When you're feeling pretty healthy or have been doing them for a while, I always tell people it feels like I'm getting a burst of controlled energy. I feel like I can walk through walls and bullets can bounce off me, and I can learn Greek or calculus because it really helps with the vitamin solutions to your nervous tissue and to your brain. Sorry, here comes the microphone. We're just kind of putting this all together where we do patient success stories every Thursday night at 5 o'clock. It's done not only me that's working on everybody, it's the West Clinic team. And we're excited to be able to share additional stories next week. I've got another chronic arthritis case that we're going to hear their story next Thursday. And that being said, a couple things that I want you to be aware of. Next Wednesday, inside of our West Clinic program, we are doing natural treatments and considerations for blood pressure. We're also going to talk about the heart as far as natural considerations for a pulsating heart, a racing heart, low blood pressure, high blood pressure, basically everything associated with the heart. Then immediately after that, we do our Thrivers program. It's our question and answer period every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And that's basically the show that we're going to do. So a couple things. Remember this, you're not your diagnosis. Like we get in there and we're all slowly, basically falling apart. We just want to fall apart the slowest and the healthiest possible. So we try and bring a patient success story every Thursday night at 5 o'clock, tell you their story and then what we did and how we helped them. Excuse me. And then what we want to do is we want to teach something on Wednesday night. So at 6 o'clock, we're going to do some blood pressure, and then our Thriver program, our virtual office visits every Thursday or Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. So if you guys would like some more information about what we can do, westcliniconline.com. You're not your diagnosis, and you can beat your disease. I'm Dr. Jason West, and we'll see you guys next Thursday night live in studio with Patient Success Story. We'll see you later.